All right, we are doing a back testing setup. So you want to come to back testing in your Tradezella. You're going to get this page. It'll probably be blank, or if you haven't done a back testing session, it's probably going to just say start a back testing session. And so I want to create a session. And I'll go here. You're going to get this little thing. But before I create a session, and for me, this is not just creating a backtesting session, but creating a focus. Everything I do with purpose. I try. Um, if I go to the driving range to hit a bucket of balls, I'm working on a part of my golf swing. If if I'm doing anything that's in a practice formation, I want to practice with purpose, intent. Um, I need to work something out, or I need to just get better at what I'm doing. You've heard my sports analogies, everything. It's the same thing. So, what is the goal? So, you're coming into this back testing session. What is your goal? What you want to know what you want to back test for? Is it a play? Are you trying to back test the bounce play? Are you trying to define your edge? Maybe you want to experiment. My phase one on my backtesting program for finding your edge and stuff. Phase one's experimenting. Gonna start experimenting with things. Maybe you're at a point where you've been trading. You have an edge that you're pretty comfortable with, kind of almost like I was talking about in the journal chat. But you come across something that kind of intrigued you, and you thought, man, this could possibly add flavor to my edge. Not change it, not alter it, not blow it out of the water, but maybe add some flavor to it to increase it. So maybe that's something you want to come in, you want to back test that. So kind of know what you're wanting to go into. And then you're going to be focused. You do not want this to become a video game. Uh, you want to take your time. You want to take. I know most people are like, well, if I can hurry up and back test this weekend, if I can back test 3 years this weekend in the 1 hour, then I'm going to be perfect. Well, you've turned it into a video game or a binge watching Friends or something like that. You just not getting what you want out of it. You're just going to the driving range, grabbing a bucket of balls and just smacking them like with no care. So you kind of don't want to. You want to refrain from becoming a video game. Um, and if you can, try not to be so much on the dollar amount. Don't whenever I'm back testing, it's not so much the dollar amount, it's the technique. I'm not trying to see how much money I can win. Again, I kind of feel like that throws it into a video game aspect. How much, how many rewards can I get before I get kicked out or die? Um, I do, I do my back testing now. I do try to make money, but it's more in a technical sense. Like, can I add at this level? Can I come in with 2 contracts? I'm still going with my budget. Um, can I scale out here? You know, would it be better if I scaled out and locked in some money and then continued to trail it? So those things are you can do because those are techniques. Those are trade management techniques that you need to refine and learn anyway. Keep your trading to your trading time. If you trade in the 15 minute, if you're not in the experimental phase and you're you already know that you want to trade the 15-minute time frame, the 1 hour time frame, or whatever. Stick to that time frame. Don't hop around. Stick to that time frame. Stick to the time of day you chose to trade. Now, most 4 hour and 1 hour traders can trade throughout the day here and there and with alerts. If you're a trend line trader, I think all of us here are. Um, if you're a 15-minute or 5-minute trader, you don't want to be taking trades at work. You don't want to be getting dinged when you're not focused. So you want to find a time, a 1, 2, 3 hour window where you know you can give it focus. You can give yourself that's the window. You want to take whatever that window is and back test that window. The reason being, if that's your window, let's say you trade the New York Open, you trade from open to, I can only use my time zone, so open for me is at 6:30 in the morning, and if I traded till 10 o'clock in the 5 minute, that's it. So when I back test, I'm only going to trade those time frames, and I'm going to skip the rest of the day. I don't want to take trades, and I don't want to build my edge on something that's not. So now I'm a swing trader. I trade the 1 hour. I watch the 4 hour for my setup. That's kind of my, it's kind of my long vision. Like, what's the higher time frame doing? When the higher time frame says it's time to get, looks like it's time to get into a trade, I jump down and I trade the 1 hour. So if I don't have any trades on, I don't have to look at my charts, but once every 4 hours. I do not set alerts. My phone's on silent at night. I'm not going to get an alert, and if I did, I wouldn't want to take it. I would just be, I wouldn't want to even try to have to think about taking a trade. Now, once I'm in a trade, it's just about managing it. And my managing system is so defined that it's not too hard for me to even open my phone and look at the end of the hour and see what happened and see if I can adjust my stop loss, because it's pretty much all I'm doing. So when I back test, I keep it from a half an hour before market opens, New York opens, so 6 o'clock, and I stop at 6 o'clock. That's the latest. Anytime after that, I don't care. I'm not interested if there's a trade or not. Most of the time, I don't have to worry about it. So keep that in your mind when you're back testing for purpose. You want to keep that in mind to make sure you're doing that. Journal and tag, and we'll go into that. But you want to journal and tag every trade, and we'll cover that in the details. For me currently, I'm in a continued practice mode. I have my system. I've gone through my 4-phase system, and now I am practicing it. With it takes me a long time. Okay, it takes me a long time to get through a session. I'm doing right now. I'm in MYM, and I'm doing 2025, which I'm finding was very choppy in the beginning, very difficult. And I go through and I watch the 4 hour, and then I trade in the 1 hour when the 4 hour says it's okay. And I skip and I do all that, and I got my $20,000 budget. And it takes me, so that I'm going from January to October to the end of September, and that'll take me about 2 or 3 weeks to get through. And I back test, or I'm studying something in my trading every day, at least 2 to 3 hours a day. So you get an idea of how methodical and slow I am. And it's because I'm trying to learn the whole charts. I've been doing it for 2 years. I'm still trying to like grasp that whole thing. I want to see the whole thing. I want to see everything. I want, you know, we all know Tori, 10 years of trading, 8 years or whatever. She studied the chart. She looked at the chart. She looked at the, it, it, it takes time to really know what is happening. You can have a technique, but you kind of need to start seeing price action regular. So anyway, moving on. Setup, session name. I like to make the session name something when I look back, I know what I'm doing. So for let's say you're in phase 2 or phase 3 of my 4-phase system. You're going through it. Maybe you're not. It doesn't matter. So I would do. We're gonna do MGC phase 2 2025. Now I know what year. I know what I'm doing. Let's say you're, whatever it is, however it is. You can make this longer. You can make it short and sweet. You can add a description if you want. I typically don't. I like putting it in my name. I can look at and I'll show you when I look at my sessions, I can skim right down them and I know what every single session is. Strategy. Because we all have at least 2 strategies, a 2 touch point and a 3 touch point. If you're a single strategy player, that's fine, 3 touch point. You don't need this. Okay, you get to pick your strategy you used in your back testing. So you don't need to pick this. If you want to maybe make a couple sessions, welcome MC. Make a couple sessions in here that are focused on a specific strategy, then yes, go ahead, click that, and it'll track. It'll track just that strategy. So that's kind of the gist on that. Symbols. I got future. I chose MGC. Some things aren't in here. Like I don't think they have 1 ounce gold yet. Yeah. So there's some symbols that aren't in here, but for the most part, they got the majority of them. Now pick your time frame. Like I said, I'm a 1 hour trader. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say 2025, January 1st. We're going to start there. I like to go through a whole year for me. If you're below a 1 hour trader, you're probably going to want to take a month. If you do that, I highly, highly suggest you take at least 3 months, a month in the beginning, middle, and end, because the market is different throughout the year. And if you do a second year, you take 3 different months than you did the other year. Okay, coming in here, I want to go, 2025, we're in December, we'll go to into November. Okay. So my starting balance, my right now I'm trading a 20K account. That's what I want to back test, a 20K account, because I'm trying to learn my system, my edge. This is, to me, is just very, very critical that you keep everything as real as you plan on trading in real life, because we're trying to learn, we're trying to gain something out of this that we can apply in reality. So we created our session. First thing I do, looking at this does not look anything like my real chart. So we will, I'll answer that later. Give me time. So we will want this to look like my chart. Okay, it's kind of it's a little harder for me because I use Think or Swim and I don't use TradingView. But the colors, the layout, I don't want to just jump in here on this layout. Mentally, the visual aspect of this chart, and then when I'm looking at my chart and wanting this back testing to transfer to my real testing, I want it to look the same. So it takes me no time to change this. We're going to go in here. white. I got rid of the red. Red is evil. I like that green better. Go to here. I got this guy. I do not like that price line. Kill that. Canvas. My canvas is black. Black. My lines are kind of a light gray, but I think I've been turning them off. So that's pretty much it. Oh, my crosshairs are a gray as well and not dashed. Yeah, I think that's it. And then come up here. I do not use volume, so we'll kill that. And then we do our setup. Now we can get ready to go. And I'm going to come in here and I am going to basically run this as a trend line trader. I'm going to do my trend lines. If you, and again, I think we all are, but if you're not a trend line trader, you want to set your chart up exactly how your system is set up normally. Don't skip it. Don't jump corners. There is I got a little lag on this for some reason. I do like to mark out my all-time high. We'll go boom here. That is all-time high. I see one monthly support level that I think I will take. This is kind of frustrating when the lag is not quite right. So now I am going to hop down to weekly. Catch that. Make a little adjustment on this guy here. Get out of the way. Weekly, we got one more. A little steep, but we'll go ahead and put it in. It won't be as steep by the time I get down to 4-hour. Daily. Daily, I like to do a quick check for any serious, for me, possible low points or high points. So we have a high point here. We have a lower point here. We had a high point right here. Oops, let me get that. And that high point got hit once, twice. It's kind of losing it. So always come back and check before, as I'm trading, always come back and check to make sure my support resistance levels are actually still a level worth checking. I truly feel like sometimes support resistance loses its power after a while. But that comes from my background of support and resistance trading and how I developed it. All right, we're in the 4-hour. So now I want to look for some more support resistance levels. Most of my support resistance levels, I'm looking like we had a good move up here. So I want to check the top of that. Did that correlate? It kind of almost did here. And then it came down and then we got another move. So does this bottom correlate with anything? A little bit. It's kind of running through this little top. That's kind of iffy. I don't think I'm going to utilize that. And if I go here, I do have where it hit here, and this guy kind of a little broke it. So I like that. Come here. I'm going to put one on this guy here just because it may become a resistance point. Usually if price comes up, peaks like that and comes back down, there's a good chance it's going to be. You can see here that that doesn't always apply. This was even almost a double here. This was a double support resistance, but it didn't make it to the next one. So yeah, so that's my support resistance. I'm going to go with that for now. And for me, I'm ready to trade. If you are a lower time frame trader, you're going to go to the 1 hour and shrink this up as best you can, because you may have to redo some of these lines. So what I might do is and the reason being is Tradezella, has not fixed, as far as I know, they've not fixed it going down to the 15 and the 5 minute without the lines going absolutely wonky. One person told me that if you blow up the screen full and back, it'll fix it. Other than that, you can go through and kind of make some, just redo your lines in a lower time frame and work your way down as you go. So I think from 1 hour down will carry to the 5 minute. So just a caution, something to think about. So I know they're working on it. There's been tickets out. People have told me they're working on it. So where's my little guy here? My, there he is, way out there. I needed to adjust that. There we go. All right, do we got any downtrend lines here in the 4 hour? Just before we get started. I'm going to try and take a trade. I'm just going to take a random for now so that I can go into journaling portion of this. There's no spot there for that. So I'm looking at this. This is to me a bounce play. We have a rejection of this support line and a trend line. And I believe that's probably the second touch. So we got one. Yep, that's the second touch point. So I have to have, for me, I'd have to have a trend line. That's a good, for me, that's a good reversal, good Twizzler. And now we're confirming it. So I'm going to start right off with a quick little bounce play trade. Let's jump to the 1 hour. It's what's neat about it. It's actually kind of fitting my rules. I say kind of. So I would want to take that. I would have wanted, if I was in looking at it, I would have wanted to be just above here. Would have wanted to get in right about here. But we are coming in here, so I'm going to go here. I'm going to skip this. It's 3 o'clock my time. Yeah, let's see what happens. So I want my stop. I don't always put my stop under the safety line, but this is me, I can say that in the Discord. So this would be my stop point. One contract that fits. Let's see if we get a trade, and we will go through to the next stop. Now I do this all the time. So I do stop orders because I find a point and this is kind of something I learned was I wanted to break a certain area. I wanted to clear a certain, this big huge white candle, which would be red in some. This is a point of resistance. You can see that it broke it. It came up and it came back down to it, and it's trying to work its way back up. Whether it gets up there or not, I don't know. But it becomes kind of a area of resistance. And so I want to get past the resistance. So had I got in at the top of this candle, I would have gotten in here and I'd still be good and safe with my stop down here. I only explain these little details, not because I want to teach you how to trade, but to give you things to think about when you're trying to figure out, and it's mostly for the people that are pretty new, trying to build their system, trying to build their edge, and trying to figure things out. I don't want to absolutely follow my trading. I am not a extremely successful trader by any means. So find your own edge and just throwing things out there as an experiment. Next thing you want to do is you got that. So you want to make sure this, I almost forgot this part. This UTC, that's your time zone. Click on it, make sure it's yours. Okay. That sets this clock. It sets these hours. Okay. So that when you're looking at this, it's the same time. If you want to also go here, this is the pace that you're going to be trading. Because I watch the 4 hour and because I've done this forever, I do 10 minutes 2 times fast. So that means every movement's going to be a 10-minute jump. So it's in 1 time fast is like 10 minutes every second. So this is 10 minutes jump, and I'll get 2 per second. So I think I started off with a 5-minute jump at 1x when I first started. So it was like really, but if you're a 5-minute trader, you can reduce that down to seconds, minutes. I highly suggest that you see the candle movement in your back testing. If you just jump candle to candle, you do not get that feeling of watching that candle move. Very, very huge anxiety lesson that, they a lot of people tell you there's no emotions in back testing, that, oh, I got to go live because that's where all the emotions are. You sit here in back testing and tell me that there's no emotions, because I feel them, and the reason I feel them is because I'm taking it serious and I'm watching that candle move and I get some candle anxiety and I want to jump, and I feel all of that. Well, it's there. Not only that, but backtesting is going to help build your confidence in your system. And once you find your system and you're backtesting, you're doing it over and over. Even though you're struggling in your live trading, maybe you're building confidence that your system works. You know it works. If you do sync time frame, what that's going to do is it's going to jump per candle per the time frame you're in. So I never use it. Next, you want to go down here, and this looks like go to a specific day and customize settings. Now this is where I get to, for me, I just go to the next day, New York time, and I set it for, this is New York time. So I set it for 9 a.m., which is 6 a.m. for me. So I want to jump to the morning. So when I see my time appears at 18, I want to jump to the morning. So you can set this however you want. If you work the Asian session or whatever, you can set that, and you can set the start wherever you want, so that you get that jump where you want to. And you can have more than one. So now you're ready to go. Looks like I got in. A spike off the old picker right away. Let's see how we work out. Oh, I got jumped. So this is what I'm saying. I'm watching this. Stop. I'm watching this, but we're middle of the night. I honestly, because I'm a swing trader and I hold trades overnight, I really don't like to see that. So I like to jump just to let the candles go so that I can see how often I get knocked out. A lot of people scream that oh, don't hold overnight, you're going to get knocked out, you'll be knocked out, and you panic and you can't sleep. I can sleep because I know the amount of times I get knocked out is so rare. Um, so yeah, I do that. Now I know, now it's 6 a.m. Boom. I wake up, I look at my chart and I think, okay, look, I got some good movement. I can move my stop up. I'm now 54 bucks in the money. And we'll continue going. And you see why I want to watch that candle? Sometimes I may drop it down when I'm like in a trade, just because I want to be able to stop and make sure I get my adjustments right before it swings back at me too hard. That. How lucky is this? Seriously, to get to do this, and I'm gonna have to remember this. Honestly, I didn't know this would happen. This is so cool. You see why you need to see that the candles? I just need to see that movement. I need to not panic. I need to work on that, not freaking out when I see a candle move, and get better at holding myself still, and trade management per my rules, uh, doing what I know is going to work the majority of the time. Okay, we're going to let this candle close. Okay, so now I can go here. We're close enough to the end of the day. I'm just going to jump. Boom, knocked out. I kind of felt like it was getting ready to turn around. So now that I did that, and you can do this along the way, sometimes I do, I want to mark out my points. So remember I was looking here for the entry. We had this little bump and stuff, and I set my entry at the top here. So that was my entry. I had my stop loss here. And if you're building your trade management rules, it's good to also maybe check where you moved. If you're moving it, your stop, you're trailing a safety line, then you can have, you know, to put a line wherever, like stop. If you moved your stop, then just add a line, just so you know where you're trailing to, so you can see that. You want a visual of what's happening. I already know my rules well enough. I did do that when I was working on it, and now I can almost tell you exactly what I did. So then I got up here. We were in this point so I got knocked out there. There's my exit. So now I got it. And so in case any of you guys were wondering, well, I thought you were a trendline trader. I'll show you what happens with my trades. I would have had a trend line here. and then I would have come in with a steeper one. I pretty much exited the same spot. Almost happens every time. So that's why you don't see me putting my safety line up. So just a little thing. Um, so yeah, we got a trade. What did we get? We got 274 bucks. That was back when gold was half the price. So now I can come in here. You go to the little booklet. Be careful. Don't go to here. This is for the whole session. You can make notes for the session if you want, but a good thing here sometimes is to do is type out your playbook here so that you can stop. You can have this window open while you're watching the chart and stop and say, okay, this looks like a good trade. Does it fit my rules that I have? And so you can have a quick reference of your trade rules. Go to trade notes. You're going to edit this trade. So for me, I like an hour screenshot, and I like the 4 hour screenshot because I look at both of them when I take my trades. Right here, you can add some notes. About your trade. Something, if you had anything like specific you wanted that may not be in a tag or in your strategy. And so you can add some things there. Come up here to your strategy, and this is what I'm saying. Now all your strategies are here, all your playbooks. All right, we took a trend line bounce for my strategy. We had the second bounce with and see, I must have a support resistance level. I did. We had a solid reversal signal here, and I didn't have a solid confirmation. Solid confirmation for me would have been in the 1 hour. I need it within 3 candles to break this show it's a strong move up. Oh wait, that's the 4 hour. Did we have a solid on the 1 hour? Yeah, we did. Here's the bounce here. We did have a solid confirmation on the 1 hour. We had the support resistance level. We had with the trend, and I did move my stop to the action line. Well, no, I didn't because I didn't have an action line. Tags. So I'm tagging this like I do. Here's some things that I did when I was in phase 3 and 4. So phase 3 is practicing your setup and your your entries and your setup, and you're kind of having a good idea of trade management. Maybe not, because it's not the key focus at that time, and so you're practicing it. But I know I'm going into phase 4, so I started tagging things that had to do with trade management more so than with my trades. I did my trades as well, but more so I already got my trading rules, my entry, my setup, my tag, my entry trigger, my setup. But I know I'm going to go into phase 4 and I'm going to think about my trade management. So I started tagging things that I wanted to tag uh, in my trade management. And then I just carried this over when I went into phase 4. So that I already started building that idea of how I wanted to do trade management. In phase 1, 2, and 1 and 2, this is the kind of things that I was tracking. So I was looking at my trend lines. Was it a 2 point, 3 point? Was it more than 4 point? Was a bad point C or bad point C, B? Did I have gap after a point? So a gap after a point would be you have 1, 2, 3, it jumps up, and then it breaks. That would be a gap after the points. So a gap before the points, you'd have point A, and then over here point B, and then breaks through. So that would be a gap before. So those just how I terminology it. Gap is tight, meaning that the trend line, the price was just moving really close to the trend line. Did I have less than a week's worth of data? Did I have over a week? This turned into 30 candles pretty much. But these are the things. What was the trend line like? I wanted to know what the trend line was like. What was my entry? Was I entering after a pullback, after the main candle, um, after pullback, before the main candle? Was it a break of support and resistance? Did I enter on candle close or candle open? Did I enter immediately after the break? And was it a previous wick entry? So these things I want to know. I want to start defining my entry. I want to start looking at candle reaction. Was it a candle? Was it? And I still kind of use this one, full candle after break. So these are some you can start seeing some of the things that I carried on to my regular tagging. Like I want to know in my playbook, did I have a full candle? That's one of my confluences. I learned that if I have a full candle after break when I get in, that it's stronger. It's a strong confluence. If I have a strong candle at break, and I define a strong candle by a solid candle that's bigger than the rest, and it broke through that line at least more than 1/4, you know, of the candle is above that line. So these two items ended up carrying over. Uh, and so these are the things I would track on the candle reaction. The overall trend. Was I in a macro trend? Was I against the macro trend? Was I in gel? If you guys know my system, in gel is just consolidation. Micro trend. I just kind of wanted to know all these different things and track them. Uh, pattern. What was my pattern? That's so I have things that I've carried over. I started noticing this bump and run three and go. So I'd get this little, I'd get a move. It'd go 1, 2, 3, and then shoot, or 1, 2, 3, and then shoot. And so I started tracking that. Was I getting equal highs and lower lows, higher lows? All that really makes a difference. I still look at all that stuff when I'm getting into a trade. Um, Dimitri knows I entered a bounce today, and if you looked at the 1 hour, it doesn't look so good. It looks almost like we're in a downtrend, but if you go to the 4 hour, we're at the bottom of the downtrend, but we've had 2 or 3 steps up, higher highs, higher lows. So I know that we're starting an upward trend because we have more than two in my mind. So I learned that by tracking it. Uh, and then I got some of my other little things, my walk the line. I started noticing that, and I was tracking that. We all love the wedgie when you're getting into a wedge and you're getting a breakout on a wedge because that's like your lowest possible risk point. And to get that, I tracked it. I wanted to know how well that worked, if that was good. Um, so yeah, for me on here, I have my setup pattern. My setup pattern was a retest of support resistance level. It was a retest in combination with the trend line. Retest. Reversal off the trend line, and also a reversal off of support resistance. It was in both 1 hour, so I had my reversals. My set pattern was clear in both 1 hour and 4 hour, not just one or the other. I'm learning that if it's in the 4 hour, it's a really strong one in the 4 hour and not so clear in the 1 hour. That's a pretty good play. If it's a clear in the 1 hour only, my my win rate is very low. Not very low. It's at 50 or lower. And then my trade management. What did I do? I put my stop loss at the back of a candle, and I trailed my did my trail trade sorry, my trade management by candle. And so that's my trade management rule. That's what I did. I didn't have any mistakes. Uh, and that's it. I mean, that's the process. We took the trade a little faster than I like because we're trying to get to a whole thing. If I was actually looking at this trade in the 4 hour, I would have said, oh, here we go. We got this. This is good. I'd have stopped, paused it, take a look. Where are we at? What are we doing? You know, or it looks a little bit up. We've got a lower high, but then it bounced up higher again. We came down, and this is where I'm seeing the clear double bottom, strong double bottom and reversal, and that comes from my support resistance trading. So that's a signal to me. We have a lower low. So in reality, this is probably could have been a pretty risky trade because we got the higher high. We countered that. So getting that, and we're looking at a huge picture here. You can see how much moves, how much space there was. So I don't know that I would have taken that trade. Um, Upward trend, little bit of consolidation. There's plenty of room before we get to the top. So yeah, in back testing, I might have taken it, but in real life, I might not have taken that. So that's what I got. That's how I back test with purpose.